Imagine living in a country with more than 1.4 billion people, yet discovering that millions of young couples are quietly choosing not to have children at all. Not one, not two, but none. Just a generation ago, having children was not only normal, it was expected. It was part of life's natural sequence: study, work, marriage, children. There was very little doubt about it. But today in China, that sequence is starting to break apart. For many young people, having a child is no longer a natural step in life. It has become a serious calculation involving money, housing, education pressure, career stability, and long-term uncertainty. Some say it is too expensive. Some say they are too exhausted. But behind these simple explanations lies something much deeper: a structural transformation in how an entire generation understands life, responsibility, and the future itself. To understand this, we need to look at three forces shaping young Chinese lives today: economic pressure, extreme competition, and a rapidly changing idea of what a successful life actually means. In China, one of the most significant differences compared to many Western countries is the cost and structure of starting a family. Marriage is not only a personal relationship, it is deeply connected to financial stability and social expectations. In many regions, there is still a cultural practice known as bride price, where the groom's family is expected to provide money, property, or valuable assets before marriage. At the same time, owning a home is often seen as an essential requirement before getting married. In major cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, or Guangzhou, housing prices are extremely high relative to income levels. For many young people, it can take 10 to 20 years of saving just to afford a small apartment. Without a home, marriage is often viewed as unstable or even unacceptable by older generations. This creates a structural barrier. Young people are not only thinking about whether they want children, but whether they can even enter marriage in the first place. In many Western countries, couples often live together before marriage, and financial independence is more flexible. But in China, marriage, housing, and long-term responsibility are tightly bound together. This makes family formation feel like a major economic project rather than a personal life choice. As a result, many young people delay marriage, and as marriage is delayed, having children is also pushed further into uncertainty. Another defining factor is China's education system, which is widely recognized as one of the most competitive in the world. In China, competition does not begin in adulthood, it begins almost at birth. Many parents begin preparing their children academically before they even enter primary school. Tutoring classes, known as cram schools, or after-school training centers, are extremely common. Children often spend evenings and weekends studying subjects such as mathematics, English, and science, rather than engaging in free play. The core reason behind this system is that education is seen as the primary path to upward mobility. In a society with intense competition for top universities and good jobs, academic performance is often viewed as directly linked to future success, income, and social status. As a result, both parents and children experience long-term pressure that lasts for more than a decade. Many young adults who grew up in this environment describe their childhood not as relaxed or exploratory, but as highly structured, exam-oriented, and performance-driven. Compared to many Western countries, where childhood is often associated with creativity, sports, and personal exploration, China's education system is more heavily focused on standardized testing and measurable results. This creates a psychological effect. When young adults later consider having children, they do not only think about joy or family, they also remember the pressure, exhaustion, and emotional intensity of their own childhood experience. For some, this becomes a major reason to hesitate about having children at all. Beyond financial and educational pressure, time has become one of the most critical constraints for young people in China. In many industries, long working hours are still widespread. A well-known example is the 996 inches work culture, working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. While this practice has been publicly criticized and partially regulated, it still exists in various forms, especially in highly competitive industries such as technology, finance, and manufacturing. In this environment, daily life often becomes a repetitive cycle of commuting, working, and sleeping. Personal time, rest, and emotional recovery become limited resources. Many young professionals report feeling chronically tired, not only physically but also mentally, when every day is consumed by work pressure. The idea of starting a family feels less like a natural progression and more like an additional burden. Compared to many Western countries where work-life balance is increasingly emphasized and legal limits on working hours are stricter, the intensity of China's urban work culture is often described as more continuous and demanding. For many young people, the decision not to have children is not a rejection of family itself, but a reflection of the feeling that they do not even have enough time to manage their own lives. At the same time, young Chinese people are increasingly influenced by global culture. Through social media platforms, they are exposed to a wide range of lifestyles from around the world. In many Western societies, it has become more common for people to choose not to have children or to delay parenthood in favor of personal development, travel, and career growth. These ideas are gradually becoming more visible among younger generations in China as well. As a result, many young people are beginning to question traditional expectations such as marriage, children, and family responsibility. Life is no longer seen as a single fixed path, but as something that can be individually designed. However, unlike many other countries, China faces a unique demographic situation. With a rapidly aging population and a declining birth rate, the long-term consequences could be significant for the labor force, economic structure, and social balance. This is why the issue goes beyond personal preference. It becomes a structural transformation of society itself, and it leaves a final, difficult question. In a country where having children is becoming increasingly difficult for many young people, what kind of future is actually being created?